Hey guys, Xeonexis here, and today I'm going to be giving an analysis on a very high ranked battle. And the player I am featuring today is one of the developers, which is named John Doe on the Discord server. So, I won't reveal his account name or anything about that. The only thing I will tell you about this game is that this is a rank 22 and a rank 23 2 versus 2 match. Alright? Their enemies are also in rank 22 and rank 23. So let's begin the analysis. As you can see, he started with a 3 barracks opening and he managed to collect most of the supply containers on his side of the map, and also the enemy resistance is trying to do a good job at collecting the resource containers. So now we proceed with the development of his base. As you can see, he already has 2 power plants, 3 supply centers, and now he has 5 supply centers, which is then improved to headquarters level 3. Here we can see that the enemy resistance is actually trying to put some pressure on his barracks. So here he commits riflemen to attack the barracks, at the same time attack John Doe's assaults. So the pressure goes on, the assaults were actually defeated, and you can see that the enemy is slowly sending more and more infantry towards the base of John Doe to give it more pressure. So the goal of this move is, here you can see a coyote being sent just to scout the base, at the same time add more pressure in terms of attacking. So one of the goals of these guys is to actually, one, add some pressure and make sure John Doe commits more resources in building defensive units, so that he has more resources committed in making units compared to the resources spent on developing his base. And number 2, the enemy wants to see what John Doe's base looks like. So you can see that John Doe first produced a typhoon. So this is actually a standard in every game, where whenever you reach headquarters level 3, especially on high rank games, so you have some sort of anti-air which will counter the enemy scouts, such as a dragonfly or a cyclone, just like what the ally is doing here right now, using his cyclone to scout the enemy base. Because some players like to harass with hawks or vertex, like they rush hawks, they rush vertex sometimes, and most players make the mistake of not producing a porcupine or typhoon, or not building an anti-air defense. So what happens is the enemy hawks or vertex can easily harass the base, destroy some units or destroy some buildings, or actually prevent you from building an anti-air in general. So that is why building yourself some typhoons is a good preemptive to counter that kind of strategy. Another good thing about typhoons is that they provide good vision. And in this game, the more vision you have, the more information you have. And information is pretty vital if you want to win a game. So here, let's get back to the match. You can see that John Doe is slowly trying to scout the enemy. But at the same time, his ally is sieging the enemy base. So with torrents and a couple of zoos waiting at the back of the base. And you can see, with the help of a cyclone, he has more vision of the enemy base. So he wants to add in some pressure by damaging the barracks or the supply centers of the enemy red. However, the problem here is red has mammoths, and the thing about mammoths is they outrange the torrents, so they are pretty good in countering sieges like this. And here you can see John Doe doing the same to the yellow enemy. So you can see him use his torrents to slowly damage the enemy base, and the enemy sniper tower actually reaches the units. That's how good the range of the enemy sniper tower is. So you can see Blue notices that John Doe was actually sieging the enemy base, so he decides to move his army around to assist John Doe. So the problem with this is there are 2 ways that thing can go. So if the enemy realizes that blue has actually helping John Doe, then there's a tendency that red will attack blue base directly, or the positioning of the army of blue will be very bad. So chameleons are gotten out, are doing a pretty good job at hiding how many jaguars yellow actually has. So yeah, and then there's that. Also the position. So you can see that since John Doe has actually noticed that his ally is here to help him, he decides to move forward to the base to do more damage. So here's the problem I see about this. The positioning of blue army is very vulnerable. Here, look at that. you can see that red army is doing a wrap around. You can see that the jaguars are behind, hitting the torrents and hitting the typhoons, and that's not what you want in a game like this. All right, you can see also that a portion of red's army is now supporting yellow. So the blue's error or mistake here was the poor positioning of his army in general. So what he should have done is make sure that his torrents and typhoon was not in a position like that. He could have positioned it somewhere near John Doe's army, or somewhere where they cannot be easily reached by enemy jaguars, because then the main damage of blue's army was actually torrents, and since the torrents are gone, then the DPS is no longer there. You need torrents to easily clear out chameleon fog, and since you have no torrents there, blue's army was obliterated. And because of this, you may have noticed that instead of facing the enemy head on, you notice that red actually surrounded green's or John Doe's army. You can see yellow on the other side and then red on the other side. So instead of attacking one side, they attack on multiple sides, forcing John Doe to choose to commit which side he is going to attack from. And it's a good thing that yellow only has one jaguar and one chameleon, right? So that's the thing about chameleons. It's like a mental game. It's like, oh, I have this jaguar, oh, I have like 10 jaguars, and then when you destroy the chameleon, you actually notice, oh, this guy only has 2 jaguars. Okay, so there you can see red picking off the Zeus one by one, and unfortunately they have no shield, and the enemy only managed to get himself some chameleon. So despite their army getting wiped out, they actually did a good damage to yellow's base, because even if, yeah, they destroyed some supply centers, some power plants, that can be boosted back, but the important thing they destroyed here is the factories, because the supply centers and the power plants can again be boosted back, but the factories take time to build, take time to upgrade, and not to mention the units to be produced will also take time to be created or trained. Alright, so here you can see the enemy has realized that, well, the Confederation army is gone because of that attack, so it's our time to pressure the base. So because of these choke points, the torrents, blue's torrents actually, are doing a good job at stopping the enemy on their tracks. Meanwhile, here is John Doe. Oh, so this is actually the red army. So I wonder what army is attacking blue. So there's a huge chance that that army is actually composed of just a single chameleon and probably 3 jaguars and maybe 2 mammoths. Because as John Doe has scouted here, the enemy is actually committed to attack his base. So here blue is just simply force firing the choke point to scare the enemy and make sure that he is not going to attack. So here you can see John Doe upgrading to headquarters level 4 and upgrading his assault vehicle factories as well as special vehicle factory to finally be able to produce shield and more Zeus rapidly. So you can see that the enemy is positioning outside of John Doe's base. So I can see that the strategy here is yellow made this on purpose so that John Doe will be stopped, or this will prevent John Doe from completely attacking yellow again, because again yellow is paralyzed and he needs to recover, he needs to build the factories. So in order to do so, red positioned his army in front of John Doe's base so John Doe will not attack. And here you can see that John Doe has finally managed to produce himself a shield which will make his army more durable. And John Doe has actually scouted, the Confederation has scouted that the red army is moving away, which means now I wonder how many units are there. So, so this is actually yellow. So yellow has managed to slightly recover. So here the shield activates and John Doe is force firing on the middle of the fog, hoping to get that chameleon out, because if you get that chameleon out, it will be a good idea. And the enemy albatross is just bombing the base of blue. So there, another information you can get here is albatross cost a lot of CP. So again, that's another committal, which means less ground army for red. And you can see that the fog here is very thick. That's another thing about the fog. You really don't know how many units are there. You really don't know how many jaguars or mammoths are there. All you see is just the bullets hitting your army. And now we can see that Thor or Blue is actually assisting John Doe by deploying his Thors to hit the bombs. And as you may have noticed, there are like 4 or 5 bombs on the Thor. So this is actually high rank because once you get your Thors upgraded to a certain level, they will, instead of bombing 3, they will now produce 4 or 5 bombs. So here you can see John Doe's ally is actually doing his best to defend his base, while John Doe on the other hand is doing his best to pressure the enemy. So here you can see that the torrents can safely be up front because of the shield damage reduction, and this is how useful torrents are in terms of clearing your waves. The torrents managed to destroy a chameleon, which reduced the smoke, so less field to search for, and you can see that the Zeus are actually taking major damage. And well, fortunately one of the chameleons timed out and revealed the position of the Zeus, which are evenly split apart. Alright, and now you can see that the torrents are clearing the enemy units. Blue on the other hand is having a hard time with defending his base because there are 2 fags standing outside his base, and like I said it's pretty hard to predict where your enemy units are if you can't see them. So here the shield is on, John Doe retreats and regroups his unit, and Yellow continues to pressure John Doe back to his base and hopefully siege him. Meanwhile, Red on the other hand is doing a good job at pressuring Blue. So here you can see that John Doe is using his infantry to scout out some enemy jaguars hiding inside the fog. The same goes for the shield, who just went YOLO inside the fog, and the enemy here is actually revealing a bit of his jaguars. And the shield goes back. Look, that infantry is actually very tough. So again, with less units, John Doe retreats, and you don't need to waste many units. And here, Red tries to destroy the Avia factory of Blue, and Blue now actually has a decent army that can defend. And here, Yellow I think overextends. It's because now he is in the range of the torrents, and there is actually a good amount of Zeus, which is force firing in the middle of the fog. So if John Doe manages to destroy the chameleon here, then this can be very bad for Yellow. So that's actually a very bad engagement for him. So here with enough army, Blue tries to charge the enemy again, and you can see that the enemy has managed to reveal himself on top of the cliff, and he further reinforces the entrance of his base by building more walls. So I wonder what Blue's decision here is. He either can wrap around the army of Yellow and surround the army of Yellow, which will completely destroy that army, or never mind, you can simply destroy this army that is in front of your base, like it's a full smoke cloud there. You can see that the Albatross is trying to do his best to damage the army of Blue, but unfortunately with the shield it is reduced so. Thanks to the torrents, it is actually doing a good job at hitting a very wide area, which is therefore very effective in clearing chameleons or jaguars, which is very spread apart. And Blue's Zeus is getting obliterated, but thanks to that Thor, it probably hit a vehicle or 2. And now John Doe resumes in pressuring Yellow, preventing Yellow from supporting Red. It's because I think Red has little ground infantry or units now. It's because look at that fire, it only has little. And now John Doe is using his torrents to successfully clear the enemy fog. And now the enemy JCP retreats because it is out of position, and then here comes a Jaguar trying to commit suicide by not hiding in the fog and instantly gets obliterated. And now John Doe is force firing all the way with the shield up front, and at the same time Red's army got destroyed by Blue, and now Blue is simply finishing off Red's army. And at the same time John Doe backs off for a bit, and you can see oh, that's a lot of Albatross. I wonder what those are for. Oh, they are committing and destroying that Avia factory. Oh man, how many Albatross did it take to destroy that? That thing is very tough. And now Vertex are cleaning off the enemy Albatross. So 1 down, and unfortunately that's a bit of an overextension because now you're in the base and then there is an enemy anti-air, only 1 unfortunately. So here John Doe realizes that the enemy no longer has a good army. Red no longer has a good army that can support yellow. He then proceeds to utilize that advantage and attack yellow, which will hopefully finish him. And well, you can see that the Jaguars are slowly getting out of position. The Chameleon are going back. And at this point, the engagement is lost for yellow. And now all John Doe needs to do is simply finish off the buildings of yellow, which will cause red to hopefully surrender since his partner is defeated at this point. So here you can see that red is still at headquarters level 4. He's producing a little bit of a chameleon, and red is doing his best to use the albatross, manages to destroy 2 zoos, but that is not going to be enough. And now yellow's factory is going down, and here comes a jaguar completely getting destroyed by the torrents, and John Doe is simply activating the shield and destroying everything that can produce a unit which may stop the attack. And here typhoons are actually getting presented and firing at those tough albatross, but the 2 albatross actually manages to destroy most of the torrents because of their positioning, unfortunately. And then here comes blue with the hammer spam. Oh, so blue's Zeus army got obliterated, so he managed to produce some hammers. So why hammers? First, they are fast and they can provide an easy cover here, and that Thor actually hit nothing except for that jaguar a little bit. And hammers are pretty fast and pretty cheap to produce. So here in terms of this, since blue's base is far away from yellow, he produced hammers because they know that they will easily get fast to yellow's base. And now you can see that more zoos are starting getting produced by John Doe, and slowly and surely attacking and destroying the enemy base, the factories, the headquarters, and everything. And also, hammers are actually quite good against JCP because unlike Zeus where you have to force fire, you can simply push the hammers inside the enemy JCP, and there's a big chance that, oh, Albatross, I wonder what they bombed. There's a big chance that the enemy will also die by their own force fire. So here blue is slowly destroying or going to commit to red, who only has a gun tower as a defense, because seeing those albatross means there is a lot of CP that is committed in making them, because each albatross costs at least around 7 CP, 8 CP, and having at least 6 albatross, that's a lot of CP meat. So here John Doe finishes yellow, and you can see that yellow is still doing his best to desperately defend, trying to build himself a gun tower, but it's not gonna be useful. And here blue does his job. Hammers slowly arrive at the scene and is now finishing up the base of yellow. So here it was at this point where yellow is now obliterated. So the only thing red can do here is sacrifice the albatross and probably produce himself some ground units. At this point, it's just cleaning up the base. So usually this is high rank, and at this point, if one of the partners get defeated, then it's usually that the other partner will also surrender. So let's see how red fights here. And now his chameleons are just standing by there doing nothing. Oh, there we go, it's a victory. So guys, what can you say about this battle? It's pretty epic, right? So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.